Hello YouTube, hello Rumble, wherever you're watching this video. And today we're pretty much gonna be doing our first reaction video. And this, keep in mind, this is all recorded live. If you want to check out the live streams, make sure you could subscribe and follow me on YouTube or Twitch. You know, make sure you have notifications on, because right now I don't really have any schedule. And yeah. For our first reaction video, we're going to be checking out MagicMush and his video about like fallen social media platforms. Like these days, you know, you got your Facebooks, your Twitter /X. Wait, does TikTok count? Or I guess that's more like a video like YouTube. But you get the idea. But back then, like, things were way different. Like, sure, many of them were still around, even if in different forms, but there were plenty you probably may have never heard of. Well, maybe a few, but like more so like people reminiscing about like, oh, the good old days back in the day. We didn't have no TikToks, or we had MySpace. You know, Forge. Oh wait, no, that's not Rafflecopters, and we were happy with that. We were. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy. If so, please like and subscribe to the channel, and yeah, let's get started.
We live in the year 2024. We live in the most
not
technology-dependent era we ever have in our entire existence. We rely on machines and the internet to do a ton of heavy lifting for us, just a little bit longer, and we're going to be living in that reality Wall-E has predicted for us.
Like, what? First it's Roombas and Amazon delivery bots, and soon, I guess, Wall-E.
We have access to a whole digital world none of our ancestors had access to. It should be cool and exciting, but the reality is, we actually live in the most boring time to be on the internet. In the old days, there was next to no regulation on the web. You could find pretty much anything you wanted. There were so many strange places you could come across, and you would never forget coming across them if you did. These places...
Shout out to Newgrounds, by the way. You know, if you want a taste of like what the old internet still has to offer in the modern day, you know, that's a good good place to look.
Places being good or bad is definitely up to the beholder, but it was an experience. It's not like that anymore. Everything is regulated now. Everything is controlled by someone or something bigger than you. They will decide what gets to stay and what gets stopped out. You will go to the same handful of websites and only those handful of websites. The exploring aspect is all but gone. The website wars were fought, and the victors get to keep the spoils of being used by everyone. That also goes for social media. Today
First
we
the
have only a
wars,
small pool of social media sites everybody uses. Facebook for the old people, TikTok for the young people, and Twitter /X for the mentally ill people. How we
You might want to include Reddit there. I say that, and yeah, I pretty much use both, like, on a somewhat regular basis, especially, you know, Twitter these days. But before, you know, Twitter pretty much became our main social media platform, it was Reddit. And yeah, we'll talk about that more later, another time.
decide what social medias we all use today was basically a case of trial and error if it got to stay. And most of the time, it didn't. All the big boy sites right now are currently resting on the pile of corpses that is old social media sites. Many have come and gone, some leaving a longer lasting impact than others, and they all failed for a number of reasons. And I thought it'd be fun to go over some of these failed social experiments. Welcome to the many tales of failures with inflated egos and squandered opportunities. Welcome to...
Press F to pay respects.
But first, Daddy needs a new roof.
Oh, and by the way, we're not skipping any of the sponsor sections for any of these videos. We these days especially, you know, we all gotta help each other out, you know, do what we can to make sure that, you know, that we have, you know, food on our plates, running water and whatnot.
I'm currently saving up for one as we're talking.
And because, like generally speaking, like a lot of the channels that have sponsored segments, it's not your usual like ad read, like, you know, at least they try to make it like more like entertaining.
But as you would know, roofs are expensive, especially these days with all the inflation going on, and I need to get on top of those expenses.
Let me know if you guys want to check out the Dobson video at some point.
Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your money better. I'm using Rocket Money to keep up with my subscription services since there are so many these days, and I just can't keep up with all of them. It's a great way to keep up with them, and makes it super easy to cancel them if I need to. I'm also using Rocket Money to set budgets for myself. You ever just walk into a nondescript game store and see a selection of games you want, but you're just not sure if you should buy any? Using Rocket Money, I can set a budget for myself to let me know if it'll have any lasting impact on my basic needs and how flexible I can be with my money. Thanks, Rocket Money! Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to Rocket Money.
I'm not sure if this link still works anymore, but if it does, and you're interested, yeah, use the link rocketmoney.com/magicmush, you know.
.com/magicmush, or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/magicmush to get started for free. I use it all the time. Trust me.
Google Plus, like, I wasn't around for it, but like from what I hear, like it was a whole like nightmare, like or at least like it barely worked properly. And back then, like there was actually a time where you actually needed a Google Plus account, like if you wanted a YouTube channel. Let's see what Mush has to say.
Do you like your YouTube channel? I like mine because it makes me money, if it wasn't obvious a little earlier. But do you know who also likes money? Google, the company that owns YouTube. They love money. What corporation doesn't? Google has, for decades, attempted many experiments and products over the years to try and squeeze money out of the masses. Being known as a search engine 99% of the planet uses wasn't enough, apparently. There's a whole website called Killed by Google, made for the single purpose of archiving everything Google has axed over the years, with stuff like Google Goggles, Google Video, and of course, their failed attempt at social media, Google Plus.
You think a website exists for for companies like Microsoft or Apple? Because there's plenty of, just like Google, they have a whole graveyard of of failed or dead like services, products and whatnot that they've left behind. Hell, graveyard, like in the traditional sense, might be putting it lightly. We're talking about one of those mass unmarked buried graves.
Google Plus was not their first foray into attempting a social media platform, as they had already tried a few times in the past, all of which died on the vine. But Google Plus is no doubt their most well-known and infamous attempt. Google Plus was introduced in 2011, and in 2011, that's when a massive boom of popularity towards social media platforms was happening, and Google wanted in on it, specifically to counter the titan that was Facebook at the time. So this was pushed out the door to achieve that. Now, I like to think I speak for mostly everyone when I say, nobody wants to juggle multiple social medias at once. So the goal here was, since everyone uses Google, they wanted to essentially replace Facebook and have you use Google Plus for all your social media needs now, which is a lot more difficult than Google realized.
Yeah.
Facebook was undeniably
like nowadays, especially like YouTube, and not even just YouTube, like a whole bunch of other platforms. It seems like, we have like this new competition coming in, we could do what they're doing, but quote unquote better, or in a way like that the other company is, which I mean normally like that's how competition works. Like maybe like if you're entering the market, or like if you notice like a new like rising competitor there, like either doing what you're doing, or like doing something that you're not, you either offer something similar to what they're doing but in a different way and or better. Or you could just do something that they're not doing, or at least not yet, so that way they can copy off of good old competition.
The biggest social media platform in 2011, and Google didn't really seem to grasp that getting everyone to stop using it was a fool's errand. Google Plus had a load of features to try and compete with Facebook. One of them was the Circles feature. You could put all your friends and family in certain groups catering to specific labels, and if you were interested in a certain thing, you could choose to share it with only specific circles and add friends and other people who were also interested in the same thing.
Sounds a lot
And then
like
it would start
WhatsApp,
recommending you topics catering to your
or
tastes.
maybe not.
You know, typical algorithm feeding stuff in its early days.
Or even like
There was
Twitter,
also
like
the Google
Facebook.
Hangout feature, allowing you to video call friends or just search around and talk to random people. Maybe
07 for Skype. Who cares about Skype? We got Discord. Yeah. But for real though, RIP.
you would even be lucky enough to run into some genocidal maniacs along the way. You can say a lot about Google+, but you can't say they didn't try. Even with all these features and enticing aspects, they didn't really have anything to offer that Facebook couldn't. This was more so an alternative to Facebook rather than a flat-out replacement like Google wanted. But impressively, in the year it launched, it reached a total of 90 million users. Hell, by 2013, they had over 540 million users. That's crazy good numbers.
How much of those were bought?
But if so many people were using it, why did it die off like it did? Well, that's because all is not as it seems. Yes, it did have over 500 million users, but in reality, those numbers are incredibly inflated. You see, in order to make sure they got the maximum amount of users as possible, Google also decided to integrate Google Plus with YouTube. And by that I mean, if you wanted to make a YouTube account, or even to keep using the one you already had, you had to make a Google Plus account. It was mandatory. You did not get a choice in the matter. You were going to make a Google Plus account, and you were going to like it. People did not like it. In fact, people were very vocal about not liking it.
I can definitely see why.
Google Plus was a punching bag on YouTube for a good bit. Some of YouTube's biggest stars at the time took every opportunity to take a jab at it, and the fact that they were forced to use it to even use the platform.
Now I have to have the Google Plus integration? Nobody wants to use Google Plus! You know what makes somebody hate a service or a website? Forcing them to use it! You know, now that I've been forced to use Google Plus, I find it satisfying and interesting. Said no one ever!
We're on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Google Plus!
Oh hey, I know you. How you doing, by the way? Ray William?
It wasn't just YouTube either. Anything that had Google at the helm would basically force you to sign up and use a Google Plus account, even if you didn't want to. People weren't signing up for Google Plus because they wanted to use it. People were signing up for Google Plus because they didn't have a choice.
Papa, why do they not love me?
I do not know, little one, but it is of no concern. I will make them love you.
And under the fact Google started making up weird rules and regulations nobody liked. Like, the fact at one point they had the requirement you had to use your real first and last name for Google Plus, and therefore your first and last name for everything. Yeah, that's a smart idea.
Good thing we never did anything like that again.
If that were in place today, doxing would be more rampant than ever. I was a freshman in high school when this Google Plus stuff was happening. We were required to make Gmail accounts for school stuff, and I didn't want my full name to be out there, so I made 2 Google Plus accounts. But I must have messed something up, so imagine how awkward it was to explain to the teacher why they had gotten emails from the most autistic-sounding Nintendo-adjacent name you could think of. People just hated the service and everything related to it. People would rally against it in YouTube comments, spamming the same copy pasta over and over to express their distaste with it.
Army,
It seems like everywhere you looked, you saw nothing but disdain for Google Plus. Many people set up accounts and never used them, because Google Plus was just a hurdle people had to jump to do the stuff they actually wanted to do. And over at Google, the company morale around Google Plus was just pitiful. It feels like nobody wanted to actually work on it and just did it because Google wanted it to succeed, and it didn't. To top it all off, someone broke into it.
Ooh.
Yep, millions of people's data stolen. Great job, Google. All these problems just piled on top of each other year after year until Google realized it was finally time to pull the plug. Google Plus was finally killed off in 2019. Just another footnote in a long string of projects Google has axed.
Like honestly, like I didn't even know it, lasted as long as it did. Like, then again, maybe I did and I just forgot. Damn, it's been so long. 2019 feels like both just a year ago and technically 6 or 7 years ago. Man, I'm getting old.
Now, all that really remains of it is vague memories and old YouTube videos still up that were created just to dunk on it. Google is still one of the biggest companies in the world. They experiment constantly, and most of the time, those experiments fail, and they just drop it and move on to the next thing. This won't be stopping anytime soon. They tried another social media shortly after asking Google+, and even less people use this one. Hell, most people didn't even know it existed.
Me neither.
But if you were around
I was
during
one
the
of those
time,
people that
everyone
never
who
knew.
used YouTube knew Google+ existed, and we all hated it. It's proof hating something can bring us all together in some way.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, or Google Plus. Google Plus. Google Plus.
Oh, Vine. Like, this one, I think I actually did use, like, or at least briefly, like, around the 2016 or 17, like, or at least that's when I was watching, like, a lot of those, like, Vine, like, cringe comps, or Vine comp kind of things. And, fun fact, a lot of YouTubers, like, that got popular around, like, the mid to late 2010s, or, like, not just YouTubers, but also, like, later on, like, TikTokers, like people like the Paul brothers, like, what was it, Tana Mojo, Cody Ko, you know, and plenty more that I'm probably forgetting, like, actually got their start here. In a way, you could kind of think of it as, like, a prototype version of TikTok, or I guess Musically, but then again, Musically is kind of like an early version of TikTok. You get the idea. It was, like, a pretty, like, early version of TikTok.
This is probably going to be the most nostalgic section in this video for a lot of people, including me. Yes, I'm going to be talking about the biggest wasted potential of the mid-2010s, Vine. If you were growing up in the mid-2010s, preferably middle or high school, no doubt you at least heard of Vine. It was one of the hottest new social media sites around the time, with a unique concept. The app focused on video content, or more specifically, 6-second videos. That was the limit. Every video uploaded to Vine was 6 seconds long. Get everything you want out in that very short time frame. That was the appeal of Vine. When you were given such limitations like that, it forced people to get creative, and that was a reason why Vine took off like it did. What people did when they were given 6 seconds to make watchable content was so fun and creative, it became addictive to see what people would come up with. Vine was destroying attention spans before it was cool. And so the app took off. Launching in January of 2013, it became one of the fastest growing apps at the time. By November, it had become the most used video sharing app on every digital storefront. People were eating it up. Animations, skits, all done within 6 seconds.
How does it feel to be the worst cop ever, huh? Shut up, your mother buys you Mega Blocks instead of Legos. You fucking take that back.
What Vine was mostly known for was its comedy clips. Comedy was easily Vine's biggest strength.
I wouldn't be surprised
You'd see
if,
all sorts of attempts
Flipnote
at being
studio
funny.
clips were pretty popular on there.
To varying degrees of success.
Not that it's a bad thing, just,
You might also recognize a few familiar faces here. Yeah, Vine also launched the careers of many current year e-celebs, and sadly some of these we still had to put up with to this day.
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows, as is the case with a lot of content producing social media. There was also some trash you had to sift through. Oh lord, some of the memes on this site got really annoying really fast. Words cannot describe to you how obnoxious it was scrolling through a bunch of vids and hearing the words,
My name is Jeff.
or
What are those?
over and over and over.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, cause, like, people, nowadays there's a lot of discussion about, like, the lifespan of memes and how, like, especially, like, platforms like TikTok, you know, like, and because of, like, the rise of short form content, like, memes, like, they come and die, like, way quicker, like, within the span of a week, whereas back then, like, they could last, like, several months or even years and still remain fairly popular. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of discussion started around here with Vine. Or at least musically.
Over again. Vine users ran jokes and memes so hard into the damn ground, they never even really had a chance to live. Really, Vine did set the precedent for current social media, where it has a lot of regurgitated garbo, but those diamonds in the rough made the entire experience worth it.
Look at all those
So you have this incredibly popular and influential app, the most used video sharing service on multiple app stores. How did this all go wrong? Well, it may have looked like a success to the average person, but behind closed doors, it was a completely different story. In the 21st century, the end goal of every social media is to provide people a service to connect with their friends and keep them coming back, and make money off of that in some way. The end goal is always going to be cash. They can't keep the service running for free, you know. But Vine was also, very early on in its life, purchased by Twitter for $30 million, so you know they're going to want their money put to good use. And over time, it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. Vine had a major problem with monetization. They couldn't really find a way to make the service profitable.
Like, maybe you could have, like, I don't know, like, maybe, like, every couple vines, whatever you want to, videos, like, shorts, you know, like, you had, like, an ad or something like that. Or maybe if you, like, in the search. But aside, maybe add, make a little extra off, like, an ad-free version. But, like, yeah, like, when you have, like, a platform where the main gimmick is, like, literal 6-second videos, you know, like, how do you even, like, make something like that, like, profitable? Like, let alone at least enough to, like, to cover, like, yeah, like, server costs, you know, maintenance, all that jazz.
At least not enough for Twitter to be satisfied, and with them constantly breathing down their neck to make more money, it was a huge issue for Vine. The service was pretty much bleeding money for Twitter, and they desperately tried everything to fix it. To add on top of that, due to Vine's popularity, competition saw the potential and wanted their own piece of the pie, and started adding their very own short clip services, some of which allowed more time and seemed like the better option to Vine users. Many people started moving on, and the service was on death's door, but they were allowed one final offer to try and save the service. And here's when the story gets absurd. You ready for this? So everyone was moving from Vine to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
It was just going to be another service left in the sands of time. But a couple of Vine's biggest stars moved into a Viner frat house, a house probably full of the most punchable faces to ever exist. They all band together and talked with the higher-ups of Vine and offered them a deal. They wouldn't leave the website and would create 12 new Vine videos a month to keep the service afloat. If Vine gave them $1.2 million monthly.
I mean, then again, like, 12 videos, like, in the span of a month, like, and the videos are, like, 6 seconds. I mean, yeah, like, they gotta be creative enough to get popular, but at the same time, like, especially for those, like, that were already fairly popular and already knew, like, the ins and outs of the platform, that doesn't really, doesn't really sound like much. I don't know.
Each! Let me remind you, these are 6-second videos.
What?
So that would basically add up to a little over 1 minute of content a month, and they think that's somehow worth
a minute and 12 seconds, you know, per video per month. That's crazy. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Wait, hold on. Oh, let me see those numbers again.
basically add up to a little over 1 minute.
Okay, 72 seconds. Okay, let's do some math here.
A lot of boring math later.
Wait, hold on. Times 18, because it's 18 creators. 12 there. Oh. $259.2 million, like, total, like, a month. And for 72 seconds, like, for Vine, like, cause keep in mind, like, 12 there. Or maybe I'm doing it wrong, like that's practically 3.6 million, you know, dollars a second. Like there's no way that would ever work, like.
Vine videos a month to keep the service afloat. If Vine gave them $1.2 million monthly each. Let me remind you, these are 6-second videos, so that would basically add up to a little over 1 minute of content a month, and they think that's somehow worth over $1 million. The balls, the egos, the sense of unwarranted self-importance these Vine stars had has never been more obvious than here. I don't care who you are or how talented you are. 1 minute of content will never be worth anywhere close to that amount. Hell, I wouldn't pay you $5 for 1 minute of content. Unsurprisingly, neither Vine nor Twitter were very fond of this deal, so they rejected, and the Vine stars left for greener pastures. Without anybody to really keep people coming to the site, Vine died a slow and painful death all the way up until 2017, when it was finally shut down. Now that we have your TikToks and your Instagrams, Vine will forever be remembered, a short-lived but fun time you had with your friends. It came at the right time for it to be a success and sparked many careers, but it served its purpose in society and everyone has moved on. But you can never forget all the good times it gave you. I have one final question though. Where the hell are these YouTubers getting these Vine clips in 2024 from?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, I used to watch those like Vine, comps all the time. Like at least up to like 2018. Like, but Vine's been dead for like 8 years. Like, what? Like, I'm sure, like, yeah, some of the videos may have been archived, posted on other platforms, but like, what? Where are you getting all this material? What?
You're all banned! Banned!
This one I have not heard of, so this will be interesting.
I'm bending the rules a bit for this one. This isn't like your typical social media that you're thinking of. But hey, it's an actual interesting story, and when the hell am I ever going to have the opportunity to talk about it? Leave me alone. I've mentioned this in a much older video, but in the early to mid-2000s, options for conversing with others were much more limited. You can go and annoy your favorite celebrity on pretty much any social media platform now.
The era of
back in the
dial-up.
2000s, the easiest way to interact with a community was message boards. Typically what one would do is find a message board dedicated to any topic you enjoyed.
In the era of the
in this specific
webcomics.
case, video games. There were tons of video game message boards back in the day, but we're only going to be focusing on one. That being NeoGAF. What started off as a message board for an old gaming website called Gaming Age in 1999, it would eventually splinter off and become its own thing in 2006. What is the importance of this gaming message board above all others? Well, all the other gaming message boards kind of existed in their own little bubble. What happened on those boards stayed on those boards. NeoGAF was a different story. NeoGAF just wasn't talking about the current games or consoles coming out, but it was also a place to discuss the ins and outs of the gaming industry. The sales talks of companies and their gaming products, business ethics. It was way more professional than your average gaming message board. But professional in big quotations, I might add. They thought so too, as you needed a professional email to even sign up for the website. A Gmail or Outlook account would get you nowhere here. So they took their message board very seriously.
So pretty much a message board for game journos. I could be wrong, but yeah, like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here.
But being a message board for nerds in the 2000s, they all couldn't help themselves to be a little snarky and silly. One thing NeoGAF became known for was the mean gifs they created whenever something big happened
Or
in the
perhaps
gaming
your,
scene.
average,
Now these
like,
gifs were made as
Reddit
fun little
top
things going on in the
1%er,
gaming industry, also for
like,
console wars.
our gaming.
Yeah, despite the attempts at professionalism, you can't stop fanboys from being fanboys. NeoGAF also had the reputation for being filled with tons of Sony and PlayStation fanboys.
Have you seen the PS3? That shit is nice, slick, black. That shit is nice.
Look at this thread of people reacting to the PSP being revealed. How it's gonna destroy the DS. Now, we all point and laugh at these people in 2005 who weren't able to see into the future. Because of the semi-professional image NeoGAF had, it got the attention of actual industry people. A number of industry vets and gaming journalists have had accounts on NeoGAF, some out in the open and some pretty anonymously. Some of the people who had accounts on the website were like God of War creator David Jaffe and Cliff Belinsky, two people who definitely have not had their reputations ran into the ground since then. But then there were cases of industry people coming onto the site with
I wonder if Neil Druckmann had an account on here.
different usernames just to talk smack and argue with others. In a note where
I should make it clear, like don't go harassing, or trying to dox anyone. Like, I don't know if like that was, if he did, I don't know if it was like public info or not, but like, still, all right. No doxing. Don't matter who it is. Don't matter if it's someone you don't like or don't agree with. Doxing is never okay.
the case, in 2007 when Peter Moore resigned, there was a user who was also requesting the marketing vice president Jeff Bell to leave as well. And then Jeff Bell went onto the board with an anonymous account just to shit talk him. That's the kind of stuff that went on over here. NeoGAF is noteworthy enough to actually be featured in a video game. It's a usable object in the game Scribblenauts. They've also gotten combative with some people in the gaming industry. Silicon Knights founder Dennis Dyack got into a huge fuss with them over the game Too Human, saying if the game flopped he would change his nickname on the site. And when it did flop, he turned on them and caused a shitstorm, until he was eventually banned. He mentioned on a podcast that if they didn't reform, the website would soon crumble.
If you're going to look at the NeoGAF forum as a non-profit organization, if it does not reform itself, it's eventually going to start to crumble. And there's going to be a point where they step over the line where someone's going to shut them down.
Well, a broken clock is right twice a day. So I know you're now sitting there and wondering, how did everything go so wrong? Well, a combination of things. One of them being one of the most common ways for something to go wrong. Politics! As more people from professional backgrounds joined the site, there was a very obvious growing population of people who were most definitely in favor of the left side of politics, in both the moderation and regular users. This isn't just blind speculation, by the way. The owner of the site admitted there was a bias, in the moderation at least. But as long as they were respectful to anyone who didn't have the exact same opinions, it didn't matter. The site became well known for people getting banned, and then the mod that banned you always gave some little snarky comment on why you're never coming back, with no—
It's just like Reddit for real!
way to defend yourself, and then they went back to doing it for free. As the 2010s came into the picture, the site moderation with its politics bias became worse and worse, especially with the rise of— oh my god, will this fucking peanut leave me alone? Yeah, when— you know what happened. NeoGAF was probably the biggest advocate for the feminism side than any other website on the web. Like, oh my god, any other opinions other than falling to your knees and worshipping Anita Sarkeesian were non-negotiable. If you did not do exactly that, you were banned. Didn't agree with the consensus, you were banned. If you were in the gaming industry and didn't agree, banned. If you were Boogie2988, who was a regular on NeoGAF, you were banned.
You're banned! Jacksepticeye!
You're banned!
NeoGAF became infamous for this during this era. That, and since the mods just needed to get their epic quips out to make fun of you for being banned. You think NeoGAF is a place where you'll get banned for disagreeing? Well, you're wrong, and I'll show you by banning you. The website became toxic? That's the best way to describe it. Toxic. It wasn't fun or interesting to talk. It was constant walking on eggshells to not upset the easily triggered mods. No one likes being around people like that. People in the industry started disassociating with them and calling them out. All this started piling up until things finally reached their peak. In 2017, the owner of NeoGAF, Evilore, the guy who let his website get to this state, got Me Too'd.
Ooh.
He allegedly did some things with a woman who did not consent, and when his mod team and message board found out, they all turned on him. Most of the website called Evilore out and fled the site. But so many became so attached to the little hug box they had, a little too attached, the entire website locked down during this. People who have been banned or hated NeoGAF rejoiced. It was a time of celebration. But eventually the site would come back online. Evilore has since told off all the people who turned on him and now bans any and all political discussion. Oh, now you do it after it affects you. You're about 10 years too late on that decision. And now the website is still up. But its importance is all but null. Ever since then, NeoGAF just sort of exists now. Nobody of note uses it anymore. And for the few that remain, it's just another gaming message board now. Whoop-de-doo. Meanwhile, all the fickle mods and users left have made their own NeoGAF.
With blackjack!
No hookers though. That'd be too much fun. And they all went on to form Reset Era. And well, that, my friends, is a story for another day. But as it stands, NeoGAF went from one of the most influential gaming boards to the place where you got
Ban!
The star of the show.
This is my Twitter. Not to shill, but look at it. Besides my sexy profile picture and banner, look at how sterile it is. Where's the flash, the color, customization? Every Twitter profile will look the exact same, no matter how many little emojis you put in your name or the description. This goes for pretty much every currently used social media. The same design, structure, everything. It's also so lifeless. Why did we settle for this? Why are we all okay with having the taste of accountants? Well, it didn't used to be like this. There used to be a social media site that was the exact opposite of this, and that site was MySpace. That one word will send a nostalgia tingle into the pants of every millennial. MySpace was the first ever hugely successful social media site on the internet. Yes, others came before it, but MySpace was the next level. If you used the internet in the early to mid 2000s, you had a MySpace. MySpace blew up into the stratosphere. Its popularity surged to great heights. It was the first time anything like this took off into the mainstream on the web. It was being used so much, it was actually the most used website on the planet at one point, even over Google. The search engine Google. MySpace set the standard for what many other social media sites use to this day, but what those social media sites can't match, even with how far we've come in terms of technology, is the customization. MySpace could not be matched in what you could do with your profile. The possibilities were actually endless here. You could do damn near anything, and that's exactly what people did. Every time you clicked on someone's profile, you were either given the bland boring design, or you were transported into another universe. Tons of these pages had a different theme to them, usually to reflect who the profile was. You didn't even need to talk to anybody, just going through people's accounts was enough of a treat at times. People constantly finding increasingly cool ways to customize their accounts, and then others asking how they did it, and then sharing it with others. This was a major part of the MySpace experience. It seemed like an unstoppable juggernaut at its peak. So when did the problems arise? Well, you see, when you're the first of something, you don't really have an idea of what to do when problems start popping up, since this was technically the first of its kind to take off like it did. I've gone off about how everything is safe and sanitized these days and how the Wild West days were more fun, and I still stand by that. Since there were hardly any restrictions, you could find anything. But the thing is, when I say you could find anything, you could find anything. Including stuff that could potentially scar you for life, or turn you into a degenerate. Either one works. MySpace never really accounted for the fact that the absolute scum of the earth could come onto their website, looking for teenagers who didn't know any better. It became a huge scandal for the website, and it was all over the news, that MySpace wasn't a safe place for minors.
Attorneys general in every state but Texas say they've now taken a first step with MySpace toward protecting children from predators.
I believe this is one where technology got ahead of everybody.
This scandal was a huge blow to the website, but that wasn't all. As it was still a site created in the early 2000s, the tools used to make it quickly became outdated with the passage of time, and they ran into many difficulties trying to get it to adapt to ever-changing internet technology. Really, issue after issue just kept popping up, and so they kept having to fix them.
Just like with fast food, like as much as I love the older times where like there was way more color, you know, way more fun stuff going on. Like part of the reason why we don't really see that anymore is like a lot of fast food companies also act as like sort of real estate companies. So like yeah, like locations are built so that way like in the future if they ever move out, you know, and a new one comes in, it's way easier and cheaper to set up shop and rebrand.
But this was halted by the news media and government breathing down their necks, so everything started slowing down. Meanwhile, the world's first working humanoid android showed up and introduced a website called Facebook, and he actually offered to sell Facebook to MySpace, which they rejected.
One of the top 10 biggest business mistakes, you know, of all time. Just like when what was it? Blockbuster refused to buy out Netflix when that was still early on, like a news thing. Not the whole like, oh, you know, DVD mail order rental thing, like when it was still early on to like streaming.
God, why do these fallen Titan brands always have a part like this in them? When they're then surpassed by the thing they were offered to buy, then they fall into obscurity, which is exactly what happened here. MySpace couldn't adapt to the times, and Facebook came out looking a lot cleaner and sleeker than their outdated website, and so everyone hopped on over. With the website now up in the air and losing money and traffic, it was sold and passed on over multiple times, even ending up in the hands of Justin Timberlake. But nothing anyone could do will save it from the tar pits. Surprisingly, MySpace still exists, but just look at it. It's just like every other social media now.
Yeah, because like I forgot when, but I think there was a time when, 1 sec.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
For those like on YouTube or Rumble, apologize for that. You know, live with family. You know, also adjusting the kilobyte rate so that way, you know, hopefully the stream and recording process goes smoothly and it doesn't take up so much space in my hard drive.
Sterile, safe, and constantly cluttering up your feed with crap.
Oh right, like I almost forgot. Apparently, I forgot when, but like there was attempts to like try to revitalize the platform by trying to make it more about like music, and the fact that I made it in this video and we're talking about it now goes to show you how well that turned out.
This is not the MySpace you grew up with, not even close. It's just like all the rest, and because of that, you really have no reason to use it over any other social media. I mean, when's the last time you've heard someone say, "I'm gonna sign up for MySpace"? It will forever remain a product of its time, for better or for worse. We're now stuck with these sterilized social media sites in the case nothing bad can happen, and some people just aren't fond of that. There's still a market for heavily customized web pages, and some sites have attempted to step in and fill the void, but for mainstream successes, MySpace will forever be remembered, but not used. Would you look at that? The video is almost over. Like all these failed social media sites, all good things must come to an end. Okay, well, some of them we could have done without. Now you can use your Twitters and your TikToks and your Facebooks. They may seem like they're riding high now, but you never know when it can all come crashing down. Especially considering who owns them right now. And now some places are now trying to ban them. So enjoy them while you can. If you can even enjoy using them in the first place, that is. God bless, like and subscribe, and good night. Go follow me on Twitter, where I will never use it. I just like to see numbers go up.
Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Google Plus. Google Plus.
Enjoy the video. I hope you all did too. You know, I will link it in the description if you want to check it out.
Google Plus. You know I love that Google Plus. That fucking Google Plus. Google Plus. Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Don't worry, Google Plus. We're cool. It's all good, Google Plus. You guys didn't see that.
Alright, about to get into the video, and of course, since we got a playlist, alright, I will link it here in the chat and in the video description once it's uploaded. Hope you all enjoyed the video. You know, if so, feel free to like, subscribe. Additionally, like if you want, like consider joining the community live streams. Like, make sure if you are interested in the live streams, make sure your notifications are on, and consider donating to me on the like Patreon, Subscribestar, or if you want to do like a more one-time thing, you know, there's also Ko-Fi. You'll find links to all of these in the description below. Anyways, have a good day or night, whatever, and I'll see you again soon.